Alright, what's up guys? So, as most of you are, I am sure, aware, the current map pool is not good. This is not good. Well, Arabia and Arena are always there, and they're always at least mostly liked, so that's fine. Continental, really imbalanced water spawn. Golden Pit, big fast castle fest. Hill Fort, bad 1v1 map. Mega random, a lot of people don't want to play it for 1v1s, myself included. Kilimanjaro, not a great map. Mountain Pass, also not a great map. And Bog Islands, also not a great map. So, I want to take the opportunity to talk about a potential solution to the current map pool design, as it seems to pander to nobody and just kind of makes everybody unhappy in their ranked experience, whether that be for 1v1s or for team games, of course. So, my idea, I mean, it's not my idea, I didn't come up with it, but it's one that's, it's been bounced around by a lot of different people, and I'm going to call it map pool pools, because that sounds completely ridiculous, and I like it. So, essentially, the idea would be that instead of having a singular map pool, where you have X amount of bands, you would have different map pools, of which this is just a mock-up. I mean, don't take any one thing here as, necessarily set in stone. It's more just the concept. So, for example, you would have a map pool of open maps, closed maps, water maps, and variable maps, which is just Nomad and Mega Random as far as I can figure out so far, and a standard map pool, which is the most common maps of all of the different map types. So Arabia, Arena, Islands, Nomad. I put Cross in there as, in my opinion, the best hybrid map, and Black Forest for team games. So the idea would be that you would opt in as opposed to banning one of these map pools, one or multiple. And my webcam froze. That is just super special awesome. And of course, it's in a ridiculous position, but yeah, I'm not editing that out. So, yeah, the idea would be that, okay, we still want to encourage some variance in people's, ranked experience. What they don't want is it just to become a big Arabia fest like it is on Voobly, or at least mostly Arabia with a few Arena or Nomad or Mega Random thrown in there. And I can totally understand that. But I think that it's important to give people a greater amount of control over how they want to play Age of Empires. And that's why I think this is at least a pretty good solution. So, at least in my magical world, again, you would choose which of those map pools you want to play, just one, or maybe you just don't care and want to play all of them. And within each of these map pools, I put an asterisk next to the maps that would just stay there permanently. So, for open maps, Arabia would always be there, but then you would have, say, 5 maps in total, I think is fine, because, at least for 1v1s, you could ban 2 maps, your opponent could ban 2 maps, then there'd be 1 left over. And so, within that map pool, you could go for, okay, you play Arabia, and then this month you'll have Acropolis, Ghost Lake, Gold Rush, or Pit, and Serengeti, and then maybe you can mix it up with some of the other maps that I listed below. So that you're still playing Arabia-like maps for the most part, but at least there's some degree of variation and something that you can mix it up with and not just play the same thing over and over and over and over again. But still, you could, say, ban 2 maps, your opponent bans 2 maps, and then you could just end up with Arabia if that becomes a meta thing, so to say. And then pretty much the same thing, I just copy-pasted with other map archetypes. Arena and Black Forest for closed maps obviously would be a constant. And then I just threw in some other ideas. Regicide Fortress, Hideout Oasis, and then Hill Fort. I would only do Hill Fort for team games. Donut from Battle of Africa 2. That would also be for team games, Grand Barra and Yucatan. Again, all more closed maps, fast castle-y maps, boomy sorts of maps. But again, you can at least be okay, I want to play this sort of map, and then you can even ban further, like I was saying. Water maps, I pretty much just put here anything that you want to build a dock and some fishing ships on, just because I feel like that is what most people would consider a water map. I don't think people really are oh, I love hybrid maps, but I hate full water maps. I don't think that's too common. But at least, that's my idea. Anyway, you'd have islands / team islands for team games, regular islands for 1v1s, and then either Baltic or Medi for just another water map constant fixture. And then, you have some sort of other set of watery glub fishy boat maps that you could then rotate in and out, and then again just give people some bans so that they can have even a little bit more control. And then variable maps, I mean, it's Nomad and Mega Random. I don't actually have a great idea on how you would do this because there really isn't anything like either of those maps. Yes, there are other Nomad maps, but people don't usually want to play them, for the most part, they aren't very good. And Mega Random is obviously its own beast, and I feel like you would just have those two maps. But I think you should always be able to not play those maps if you don't want to play them. And then standard maps, this is just something that I thought of. For me, something like what I would want to play all the time is just some pool of Arabia Arena, Islands, Nomad, and then Cross for 1v1s, and then BF for team games. Not that I personally want to play BF, but I think that's a good, consistent map pool that would not rotate, which is why I put the asterisk next to the pool, because clever. So theoretically, these maps would not rotate. Maybe one or two would rotate here and there, but for the most part, I think that you would want all those maps to be the same, just to give people an option that they can be okay, I want to play this map or these sorts of maps, and I don't want to have to worry about it rotating out every month. So I think that's a good idea. Also, I didn't put it down, but a potential would be a tournament map pool, where say for I don't know, the Hidden Cup maps, you could have the Hidden Cup map pool as one of the different pools, so to say. And I guess the strength of this is that you can have a bit more control over what you want to be doing in Age of Empires. I know, people don't like playing water maps, or people don't like playing boomy maps, or whatever. And I think that you shouldn't be forced to play something you don't like in Age of Empires. I think that is not fun, and unless you are a pro player, you play this game for fun. And yeah, fun should be encouraged. Obviously, this wouldn't affect the lobby system or anything like that. This would just be for ranked. So that's the strength of it. I would say that the weakness would be that it's rather convoluted, at least my version of it. And you still wouldn't have 100% control over it. There will always be people who just want to play 1v1 Arabia all day, every day. And although I think that sometimes I feel that, I just don't think that's good for the health of the game in the long run, because I feel it just means that so many maps are going to go by the wayside, and eventually people are going to get bored. And instead of wanting to switch to other maps, they would just stop playing Age of Empires. But I still think, like I was saying, we can at least do something that brings us a little bit closer to that. I want to play this map in AoE2, or at least this type of map. And I think that the opt-in is a lot more important than banning a map, because it just gives you the option to just completely disregard any number of certain types of maps. I think that especially important is I want to be able to just have Nomad and Mega Random completely banned without having to use bans on them, if that makes sense. I just don't want to have to deal with them at all. But at least personally, I'm totally fine playing any of the other sorts of maps. So yeah, that's at least I think a pretty good idea. Obviously, the different map pools, they can be titled different things, they can be grouped different ways, and they can contain different maps. I don't really care. This is just a mock-up I did. I just think that the idea of having different sets of rotating maps within greater map pools of a certain archetype, I think that would be at least a pretty interesting idea. It would be definitely a much larger overhaul than simply saying oh, you can have a favorite map in the current map pool system, the open backup DE. I could favorite Arabia, and then if Arabia is unbanned from my opponent, then, or if they also have Arabia favorited, then we'd automatically play Arabia. Or if I have Arabia favorited and they have Arena favorited, we'd play one of those two maps if we both have them unbanned. So that I think is a better short-term solution, but I still don't think it really solves the sort of larger issue of you're still ending up with a lot of, you're either not playing any maps that, like, you're only playing like Arabia or Arena if everyone favorites those, and then that kind of defeats the purpose of a map pool anyway. Or you have the current system, which is just kind of make everybody unhappy all the time, which is not good. Additionally, this is kind of unrelated, but I still think it's worth mentioning. I don't think we should have a ranked system for high level team games. I think if you're within like the top 50, you should be able to do lobby games as ranked games, just because there are so few people at that level that it's very impractical to ever find a game via ranked matchmaking, which is why you always see the pros do lobbies. Even though they don't get those juicy internet points, it's just the only practical way to ever coordinate getting a good high-level team game. So that's not really related to this, but I think it's still important as it's part of the general ranked experience discussion. So definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think of this idea. What do you think would be your preferred solution? And not necessarily your preferred solution, but one that you think would be best for the health of the game in the long run. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you maybe are thinking about what you would want to do as far as AoE ranked goes. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.